3 very scary true Foot Locker horror street-ories. There's something about late-night mall shifts that pulls you into a different world. Too quiet, too still, like the building itself is holding its breath. That night, when Lana clocked in at the Foot Locker in Riverside, California, she felt it instantly, like she was walking into something waiting for her. Lana was 19, short dark hair, sharp eyes, always skeptical of ghost stories. She worked part-time while studying graphic design. That night, her only company was her coworker Marcus, a laid-back guy who mostly kept his headphones on, and Tara, the assistant manager, who was texting in the back room. It was past 9 p.m., mall closing hour, but someone was still in the store, not a shopper, not exactly. He stood by the sneaker wall tall, still, dressed in a crisp light shirt under a black vest. His smile was impossibly wide, stretched too far, eyes open a little too much, just watching. Lana called out, "Sir, we're closed." He didn't move. His lips curled wider, showing perfectly straight teeth. She blinked. The lights above him flickered. Then he was gone. Marcus laughed it off when she told him, thought she was playing a prank. Tara didn't respond, just stared at her phone, too still, like she didn't hear. Lana decided to check the security footage. The monitor showed the man clearly, standing by the sneakers, but something was off. In the reflection of the store window, there was no one, just the shelves, just shoes, no man, no shadow. She played it back again. The man lifted a hand slowly, pointing directly at the camera. Then he raised one long finger to his lips. Shh. Lana jolted back from the screen. She rushed to tell Marcus, but he was gone from the register. The lights in the store dimmed without warning. Only the emergency lights stayed on, casting long shadows across the floor. She heard sneakers squeaking on tile from the back room. Lana whispered for Tara. No reply. She stepped past the fitting room. The hallway to the stockroom stretched longer than usual, darker. At the far end, she saw Tara standing stiff, facing the wall. Lana approached slowly. Tara turned. Her eyes were open wide, too wide. Her mouth was stretched into the same twisted grin. Her voice was a whisper, hollow and echoing. "He's in the vents." A loud thud hit the ceiling panel above them. Lana ran. The sound of movement echoed through the wall, scrawling, scraping, laughter that didn't sound human. She fled to the storefront. The gate was half closed. That man was standing there now, bent low, grinning as if he'd been waiting all along. His name no one ever says it aloud. They call him Mr. Grin. No one knows where he comes from, but he's been seen before. In other malls, other towns. Always at closing, always smiling. The lights blinked out completely. A whisper came from behind her. Shh. Lana turned and saw Marcus, or someone who used to be Marcus. His face had changed. The smile, the eyes, that same impossible grin. She screamed, or thought she did. Everything went black. Later that week, when the police checked the security footage, there was nothing strange. No strange man, no disappearing employees. Just Lana locking up, then static. They never found her. But every few months, in quiet corners of malls across America, just before closing, employees report seeing a man in a vest with a grin too wide, eyes too bright. He never speaks. He only smiles and raises one finger to his lips. Shh. 3 days after Lana disappeared, the mall reopened. Police chalked it up to a runaway case. No foul play, no footage showing anything out of place. The Foot Locker in Riverside carried on as if nothing had happened, but her name lingered in the air, like smoke no one could clear. New hires came in. Among them was Elle, 22, curious, soft-spoken, long black hair, always tied in a low ponytail. She'd heard whispers about Lana. Rumors passed between stores, but management told her not to ask questions. Just do her shift and keep things moving. On her second week, the night shift manager called in sick. Elle was asked to stay late to close with Bryce, one of the new part-timers. He had the habit of tapping his pen against the counter every few minutes. Around 8:30 p.m., Elle noticed something strange. Shoes were moving. Not a lot, just slightly. Almost like they shifted angles on their own. She brushed it off. Maybe someone bumped the shelf. The mall started emptying out. The silence grew thick. Bryce said he'd go count inventory in the back. Elle stayed by the register, scrolling through her phone. That's when the store music glitched. The upbeat playlist suddenly warped into a soft hum. Then silence. The lights dimmed for just a second. She waited. They came back. Then she noticed the mirror. The tall one by the try-on benches near the back wall. In the mirror, she saw the store as it was, except, for one thing, there was someone standing just outside the stockroom door. Tall, still, a black vest. She turned. No one. Back to the mirror. He was still there. Closer now. The grin had returned. Wide. Too wide. Eyes stretched open like they'd never blink. Elle froze. A voice whispered behind her. "You saw me." She spun around. No one. She ran to the back room to find Bryce. The corridor stretched longer again. That same unnatural pull, like the space, had changed. She found him at the inventory computer. He didn't turn around. "Bryce?" He didn't answer. She reached for his shoulder. He twisted fast, smiling, the same grin, eyes frozen open. He raised one hand slowly, finger to his lips. Shh. She stepped back. Something scraped above them, in the ceiling tiles. Then came the laughter. Soft at first, growing louder, but never human. Elle turned and ran back toward the main store, but the entrance gate had shut itself halfway. The store lights flickered violently. All the shelves had shifted. Shoes were scattered across the floor like they'd been thrown. And in the center, under a flickering light, stood Mr. Grin, still, waiting, watching. She ducked behind the counter, heart pounding. She tried dialing her phone. No signal. The store Wi-Fi was gone. She could hear breathing now, right above her. Then a voice. "You belong here now." She turned on the flashlight app and crawled along the floor toward the side hallway, the one that led to the emergency exit. Every few feet, she saw more shoes tossed aside. Laces knotted, soles torn open, like something had clawed through them. She reached the exit. The door didn't budge. The push bar clicked, but nothing happened. Then she heard it. Bare footsteps, slow. A whisper by her ear. "You look too long." She spun the flashlight. The beam landed on the mirror by the emergency exit. Her reflection wasn't moving. It smiled and whispered, "Shh." Elle screamed. The lights exploded overhead. The mirror shattered. When she woke up, it was morning. Mall staff found her curled behind the counter. Her hands were shaking. She didn't speak for hours. Later, when they checked the store security feed, it was blank from 9:01 p.m. to 3 a.m. Nothing recorded, except in one still frame at 2:13 a.m. was a faint figure near the mirror. Vest, grin, watching. Elle quit the next day, moved out of Riverside, never told anyone what she saw. But in a closed storage unit behind that Foot Locker, there's now a box of shoes, all mismatched, all torn. And every now and then, someone says they hear laughter coming from inside. The Foot Locker on West Diversey Parkway reopened after minor renovations. Staff said it was to fix electrical issues, but those who worked the closing shift knew better. Something had been wrong since the night Elle vanished. She didn't just quit, she erased herself, left her last paycheck unclaimed, left town. Kara was transferred in from another location. She was 25, confident, with auburn hair cut just above the shoulder, athletic, observant. She didn't believe in rumors. Her first night in the Chicago store, she laughed when a coworker mentioned Mr. Grin, said it was just a story someone made up to scare newbies. On a Thursday, Kara was paired with Jonah and Val, 2 employees finishing their shift before midnight. Everything was fine until 10:23 p.m. That was when the floor near the cash register gave a quiet thud. Jonah paused. "You hear that?" Val nodded, thought it was downstairs, but the thud came again, louder this time. A slow, dragging sound followed, like someone moving a heavy box, but the stockroom was empty. Kara checked the back hallway. No one. They joked about rats, big ones, just to shake the tension, but the sound kept going. Then came something worse. A soft chuckle, like someone trying to stifle a laugh. Not loud, not playful, wet. Jonah froze near the mirror. His voice dropped. "Who is that?" Kara looked. The mirror didn't show the store anymore. It showed a hallway, dim, rotting tiles. Something was moving in it, a tall shape in a vest, eyes too wide, smile frozen. She turned to the hallway. Empty. When they looked again, the mirror showed their own reflections. Except Val was missing. Jonah ran to the stockroom. Kara followed. Val wasn't there, but her phone was on the floor, screen cracked. Next to it, one of her shoes. A new sound filled the room, slow breathing, not theirs. Then, the lights went out. The emergency backup lights glowed dim red. Kara's phone light scanned the room. Shelves twisted, boxes torn open. A faint trail of footprints in the dust. Bare, but oddly wide at the arch. They followed it. The footprints led to a trapdoor beneath the shelving units. "We don't have a basement," Jonah said. Kara opened it. Darkness. Stairs that didn't belong. Carved into concrete. Narrow. Damp. They descended. The door shut behind them. The air was colder. Every few steps, they heard the whisper. "You're almost home." A soft thump behind them. Jonah turned. Nothing. Another step. Another whisper. "You saw me. Now I see you." They entered a room, no larger than a closet. A flickering bulb on the ceiling. Walls covered in mismatched shoe prints, scratched in, dozens of them. Like the walls remembered every person who had been there. In the center stood a mannequin. No face, just a black vest. Then it moved. Kara pulled Jonah back. The thing twitched once, then raised a hand, finger to lips. Shh. The bulb burst. Darkness again. They turned and ran. Up the stairs, pounding every step. The whisper chased them. "You can't leave what you wake." They burst through the trapdoor. It slammed behind them. The store was dark. Shelves toppled. The gate open. The mall beyond, completely empty. Kara grabbed Val's phone and led Jonah out. They didn't speak, just ran. Security reviewed the footage the next day. At 10:23 p.m., the camera glitched. At 11:19, Jonah and Kara were seen running out the front, pale and shaking. Val was never seen again. The only thing left behind was her other shoe, sitting neatly in front of the mirror. Mr. Grin never moved. He didn't have to. He was already in the floor. No one mentioned the mirror anymore at the Phoenix Foot Locker. It was just there, hung on the far wall by the employee lockers. Big, full length, always cold to the touch. Every time someone passed, they glanced at it without thinking. Most didn't notice that the reflections sometimes blinked slower than they did, or didn't blink at all. Cameron had worked there for 3 months. Calm, tall, always quiet. He was the kind of guy people trusted without knowing why. That night, he worked the closing shift with Bella and Mateo. Bella, a college student with long dark hair, was talkative but sharp. Mateo was a recent hire, young, always on edge. At 9:52 p.m., a customer entered. No one heard the door chime. He was tall, pale, with thick curly hair that looked like it hadn't been brushed in weeks. His eyes were red around the edges. He wore a striped button-up shirt and a black vest. His smile stretched too far. It didn't look like he'd ever stopped smiling. Cameron asked if he needed help. The man didn't answer. He just pointed at a high shelf where they kept rare releases, the Retro Phantom 1S. Mateo climbed the ladder to get the box. When he came back down, The man was gone. The door hadn't opened. They checked the cameras. Nothing. Just a static flicker that lasted 7 seconds. Bella said they should just close early, but Cameron wanted to finish the inventory. That's when they heard the sound. A slow squeak, like rubber on tile, coming from the stockroom. Cameron went first. The back was dark. A pair of shoes stood neatly in the hallway, not on a shelf, just placed there. They were the Retro Phantom 1S. He picked them up. The soles were clean, unworn, but inside, something moved. He turned one over. The insole was torn, like something had clawed its way out. Then, the light above flickered. Bella called out. Her voice shook. "You guys see the mirror?" They returned to the front. The mirror had changed. Instead of their reflections, it showed the back hallway, the same hallway they'd just come from. But in the mirror, the hallway was longer. The walls were smeared with something dark. Someone stood at the far end. Red eyes, white skin, smiled too wide. Cameron stepped in front of the mirror. The reflection didn't move with him. It smiled wider, then raised its hand, finger to lips. Shh. The lights cut out. In the dark, Mateo screamed. When they turned on their phone lights, he was gone. Only his name tag remained, stuck to the mirror like it had been pressed from the inside. Bella wanted to leave, but the front gate was jammed. The store wouldn't unlock. Then they heard the laughter. Low, breathy, coming from every wall. "You found my shoes." Cameron dropped the pair. They twitched. He kicked them into the hallway and grabbed Bella. They ran for the staff exit, but it led only to a blank wall. The layout had changed. He turned. The mirror showed the store, but no longer from their angle. It showed them from behind, in something standing behind them. They turned. Nothing there. But Bella wasn't breathing right. Cameron saw her face in the mirror. She was smiling, too wide, eyes blank. She whispered, "He said I could stay." Then she vanished. The lights came back. Cameron stood alone. The mirror was just a mirror again. At his feet, one of the Phantom 1S sat by itself. He left the store without locking up. The camera showed nothing out of place, just him standing still for 20 minutes. A week later, a new girl named Harper started work at that same location. She asked about the mirror. Cameron didn't answer. He just looked at her shoes and said, "Don't wear those at night." Harper hadn't been sleeping. Since the night Cameron warned her about the shoes, something changed. She didn't wear them at night, didn't even bring them home. But still, every night around 3 a.m., she woke up to the sound of laughter. Not loud, not near, just enough to feel like it was coming from the wrong side of the wall. Charleston Foot Locker was smaller than most locations. Tucked between an old record store and a vape shop, business was slow, even during weekends. That night, Harper worked with Jonah, a laid-back guy with a buzz cut, and Claire, an introvert who barely looked up from her tablet. Jonah liked her. He cracked jokes, tried to make her laugh. But Harper was somewhere else. Ever since Mateo vanished, no one brought up the mirror. Management had moved it to the back room. No explanation. No one asked why. Harper hadn't looked into it again. But tonight, when Claire asked if they could switch closing duties, Harper agreed without thinking. She was tired of being afraid. It started with the silence, the kind that didn't belong in a store. Machines still hummed, but everything felt distant, muted. Jonah was restocking shelves when Harper stepped into the back room. She only meant to grab inventory slips, just in and out. She paused at the door. The mirror was across from her. It wasn't reflecting her. It showed the sales floor. But no one was there. She moved closer. Still, her reflection didn't return. In the mirror, someone walked past the checkout. Tall, pale, vest over a light shirt. His smile reached too far. His red eyes locked onto hers in the glass. He raised one hand, finger to lips. Shh. She turned around. The room was empty. But when she faced the mirror again, He was standing just inches behind her reflection. She stepped back, bumped into something soft. It wasn't there. A cold breath grazed her ear. You wore them. She ran. Back to the front. Jonah looked up, joking as always. Everything okay? She nodded too quickly. Her hands shook. Claire noticed, but said nothing. The rest of the shift passed in a blur. They closed the gate, counted the drawer. At 10:43, the lights dimmed for night mode. Jonah offered to walk her to her car. She declined, just wanted to leave, alone. As she crossed the lot, she heard the soft squeak of soles behind her. She turned. No one. She rushed to her car, locked the door, took a deep breath. Her rearview mirror showed the back seat. Empty. Then, the radio flickered on. A voice crackled through static. You wore them. She threw the car in reverse, drove 2 red lights home, left the shoes in her trunk. Upstairs, she slammed the door, turned on every light, but it didn't matter. The mirror in her bedroom was fogged. Her room wasn't cold, but something had touched the glass. A handprint. Too long, too thin. That night, she dreamed of the store. The aisle stretched into a maze. Jonah and Claire stood frozen in place, their eyes wide, empty. A voice whispered behind her. Help them. She turned. The man was there, grinning. Trade places. She woke screaming. The mirror was clean. The shoes were still in her trunk, but when she opened the door, the passenger seat was wet. Just a single footprint. Small, like a child's, pressed into the fabric. She called out sick, stayed in all weekend, slept during the day, lights on. But every night, 3 a.m., the laughter returned. Monday, she found out Claire never made it home after their shift. Her phone was found in the alley behind the store. On the screen, the last open app was the mirror camera. Harper quit that day. She left Charleston, changed her number, got a job in a coffee shop 2 towns over. But sometimes, when she's alone in the back room, she catches a flicker in the corner of the security screen. Not her reflection, but someone standing behind her, finger to lips. Shh. Harper rented a small apartment above a bakery on the east side of Asheville. The floor creaked, the windows rattled when trucks passed, but it felt safe enough, quiet. No mirrors in the unit. She checked before moving in. No polished surfaces, no reflections, no trace of him. Weeks passed. The laughter stopped. The dreams dulled. Her skin returned to its normal color. No more shadows under the eyes. She picked up shifts at the cafe, swept floors, smiled at customers. No one asked about the shoes. No one mentioned mirrors. And she didn't bring it up. The laundry room was in the basement. One key opened both doors. It was dim and smelled of old metal and damp towels, but it was just a room until that Wednesday, 2:47 a.m. She couldn't sleep. Her mind itched, like something was unfinished. She took the laundry down, just something to do, something to pass the hour. She loaded whites into the machine, poured detergent. When she reached for the coin slot, she saw it. A reflection, but not hers. Not exactly. The silver door of the dryer showed a face behind her, pale, smiling, red eyes glinting from inside the drum. Not in the room, only in the metal. She didn't turn around, didn't scream, just pulled her hand back and walked out. Upstairs, she locked the door, pulled the couch in front of it, slept under the kitchen light. Next morning she returned. The laundry was folded, neatly, perfect creases, and the smell of something sweet lingered in the room. Not detergent, not fabric softener. Something older, familiar. She called her coworker May, asked if she could crash at her place. Didn't explain. Just showed up with a pillow and a bag. May didn't question it. She was used to Harper's quiet, used to her silences. They stayed up late watching old sitcoms. Harper didn't sleep. She watched the television screen. Every black fade between scenes. every dark surface. The second night, May asked about the folded clothes. Harper just said she never touched them. The third night, May disappeared. No note, no messages, no calls. Harper checked the laundry room again. May's socks were there, folded, sitting on the dryer. On top of them, a small slip of paper, a whisper written in graphite. "You can't leave what you invite in." Harper left the building, didn't return for her things. She walked to the old Baptist church downtown, the one with no crosses, no windows, the one people said used to be something else. She waited outside until the lights dimmed, until the doors creaked open on their own. Inside, it was colder. Walls of stone, no seats, just empty space, and mirrors stacked against the far wall, all covered in thick cloths. Except one. In the center. He stood in the mirror, hands at his sides, smiling, as if waiting for her to speak. "What do you want?" The glass didn't move, but her voice echoed louder than it should have. Behind her, footsteps. She turned, but no one stood there. When she faced the mirror again, he was closer, eyes brighter. "You wore them." She backed away. The floor shifted beneath her. The room stretched. Sound dropped out, then returned, all at once, deafening. A hand pressed against the glass. His. Long fingers, nail beds cracked, skin tight. The mirror cracked slightly where his palm met the surface, but it didn't break. Instead, the fracture shimmered, like heat on asphalt. Harper reached out. Her fingertips touched the mirror. It was warm. She pulled away, turned, left the building. But something followed. Now, days later, she doesn't sleep. Not truly. She closes her eyes, but he's always there. In windows, in doorknobs, in the silver edge of her spoon. Always smiling, always watching. She hasn't spoken to anyone since May vanished. And every morning at 3 a.m., folded clothes appear outside her door. Clothes she doesn't own. Shoes she never bought. And the faint smell of something sweet, almost like burnt sugar, lingers just behind her, every step. He's not coming anymore. He's already here.